the first pick in the 2022 NBA draft goes to the Orlando Magic.
I was never number one, like never got put in that one spot.
Paulo is the 22nd #1 pick to win Rookie of the Year honors. He averaged 20.7 rebounds, 4 assists, and the guy's only 20 years old.
And he was fabulous all year, and they got some nice building pieces down there in Orlando.
With the 6th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Anthony Black from the University of Arkansas. With the 11th pick, the Orlando Magic select Jet Howard.
2023 was a very turbulent year, starting 5-20 after a very messy slot of injuries that really hampered their entire rotation. But in the next 53 games, with a healthy core of Wendell, Franz, Paolo Banchero, the Rookie of the Year, and more, the Magic will win 29 of their next 53 games, even getting into the outskirts of the play-in tournament before losing the final 4 games of the season. Then, in Thursday's draft, they added Anthony Black out of Arkansas at the 6th overall pick and Jet Howard out of Michigan. 2 one-and-done prospects that are very appealing, and they're going to bring 2 things to the table from the Magic that I think open up everything. 2 years ago, I thought Jalen Suggs was going to be the Orlando Magic starting point guard. And unfortunately, in his first 2 seasons, it's been a bumpy ride. Suggs showed, very similar to Alonzo Ball in his early days of the Lakers, he wasn't ready for the task. As a ball handler and self-creator, he looked kind of overburdened, not prepared for the decision-making responsibilities. Shot 21% from three-point range with a 40% EFG. Defensively, he was a pit bull, but so was Killian Hayes. Then this last season, Suggs would improve to 33% from three-point range, showing off better mechanics and more confidence, which really is the biggest takeaway. The tide has turned in Orlando. They're not just gifting playing time to players who haven't proven anything so far in the league. And for Suggs' case, that's probably a good thing. The same goes for Cole Anthony, who is going into his 4th year and really at this point has solidified himself as one of the league's better 6 men, but isn't quite a starting guard, I think, in this current point. But the ironic thing about the Black selection is his playstyle is actually very redundant with Markelle Fultz. 2 jumbo-sized guards that are really intuitive passers, great defensive players that can switch 1 through 3, and are also just very good athletes. But for Markelle, it's the same song and dance as Jalen, naturally. While he's really improved and shown signs of life as a mid-range shooter, he has missed a lot of time over the years, even in Orlando, one injury after another. And so by Brandon Black, who led the SEC in minutes this last year, you're looking at this young core under a completely different lens. Whereas 4 years ago, this team's starting point guard was DJ Augustine, where they made the playoffs still, they now have 4 different guards in this roster that gives them the optionality to evaluate which players are best long term. And inherently, Black, like Markelle, is not a three-point shooter. In fact, that's what he struggled with most this last year at Arkansas. So while I'm going to say a lot of positive things with the Black pick to begin, it could potentially mean the end for Markelle and Jalen Suggs in Orlando. And what I love a lot about the Anthony Black selection is he actually maximizes Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, 2 of the league's best transition players who really didn't get out running nearly enough last season. The same goes for Bol Bol, who you kind of forget is on this roster, given he had a kind of quiet second half of the year. Black kind of reminds me of a mix of Tyrese Halliburton with Dyson Daniels' jump shot. A work in progress as a spot-up shooter that loves to play in transition, is really quick and is pretty athletic getting downhill. And you know what? Typically with elite level basketball prospects, they're usually not like the Orlando Magic's newest point guard. Black in high school was a standout 5-star wide receiver, which isn't surprising. He's 6'6", pretty athletic, and body control, balance, and really good hands. All 3 of those factors translate to finishing at the NBA level. Defending one-on-one. He can be so interchangeable off the ball because he's a good cutter. And I think the one thing that's going to matter at the end of his career is going to be how good of a shooter does he become? If he, behind an NBA three-point line, develops into a 36-37% three-point shooter, Orlando just got a complete guard that may never be an all-star, but brings all of the two-way utility you look for to complement your 2 franchise pillars. Now, if Anthony does not develop as a shooter, there's going to be some limitations to his game. As a on-ball creator, especially his pull-up game, there's not much confidence, and he also needs to develop his left hand too to really be a lead creator at the next level. It's also nice to note, even if Black is going to take Markelle's job, Markelle long-term can be the perfect 6-man. And in fact, I actually think that's the best role for Fultz. He would be one of the league's most dynamic table-setting guards because of what he brings on the defensive end as a stout on and off-ball defender, quality playmaker, elite guard finisher, with a developing mid-range jumper in that pick and pop area. Given the injury concerns, he's probably best on a 25-minute per game plan anyways. And for Black, you're going to see him impact the game as a connected passer, off-ball mover, driver to the rim, opening up kickouts to Jet Howard, who we'll now discuss, and then turning defense into offense. This gets closer to league average efficiency, with them being so good in transition. You look at an offense which ranked 26th in 2023, and you see it being a lot closer to league average in 2024. From the reigning Rookie of the Year in Paulo Banchero to a highly underrated, versatile Swiss Army knife forward in Franz Wagner,